All right, let's get started on our next lecture, which is going to encompass why we help. All right, first and foremost, example, stranger drops their belongings, you stop to help. Somebody needs blood, you donate. A person runs into danger to save someone they've never met. Question is, why? Or think of the last time you helped someone you didn't have to. Why did you do that? Are we motivated by things like empathy, self-interest, social expectations, maybe evolution? Did you feel bad for them? Would you feel guilty otherwise? Did you expect them to help you in return? Was it automatic? Is that just how you were raised? Would it make you feel good? Or did you or others help others because you genuinely just cared about somebody? So, what psychological processes in social situations make helping more or less likely? Now, the thing is there's going to be a lot of them. There's not one universal motive when we're talking about helping. There's a lot. So, first and foremost, let's talk about pro-social behavior and altruism. These are two different concepts. So, with pro-social behavior, this is going to be any behavior that's intended to benefit another person. And just so we're clear here, all altruism is going to be pro-social behavior, but not all pro-social behavior is going to be altruism, okay? And I put this image here that's hopefully helpful. But anyways, pro-social behavior. Okay, so again, can benefit another person. So what did the person do? Maybe they donated something, they volunteered, they helped a coworker, just held a door for somebody, gave somebody a ride, helped a stranger, and there could be tons of motives. Maybe they donated money because they actually cared about a cause, or they needed a tax deduction, or they wanted social recognition, or they wanted to impress somebody, or maybe a company or organization required it. Nonetheless, the behavior was still pro-social, which meant it was to benefit another person. Now, again, I talked about this in intro. Pro-social does not mean you like to talk to other people, does not mean you like to hang out with people, does not mean you're a social person. That is not it. That it means that you do things for other people to benefit society and others. You are for society. Okay? Just gonna make sure on that one. Okay, but again, motivation might not be altruistic. Now, altruism, on the other hand, we're motivated primarily by concern for another person's welfare, and we don't expect anything in return. The primary goal is to just improve somebody else's state. Now, there might be a cost to oneself. There's not any obvious external reward, and it's important. The altruism doesn't require suffering. You don't have to suffer to be altruistic. It doesn't require having zero positive emotion. You can have some positive emotion when you're being altruistic. Now, the distinction is the outcome does not equal the motivation. You could benefit from helping and have been genuinely motivated by concern. So, somebody anonymously donates a kidney to a stranger, let's say. Pro-social? Absolutely. Absolutely. Altruistic? Probably. Now, somebody volunteers because the court ordered them. Pro-social? Absolutely. Altruistic? It's probably, but it's not primary because there was a court order involved. To understand altruism, we have to look beyond what people do and ask what the motivation was behind it. So that's what takes us to our next slide. In regard to the true altruism, or is true altruism, sorry, even possible? So again, imagine you see somebody suffering, you feel terrible, you help them, and immediately their distress decreases, and so does yours. Helping makes you feel proud, good, relieved, useful. So, did you help them or did you help yourself? So again, when it comes to this, okay, again, you stopped any discomfort, you felt good. So again, we need to distinguish between motives here experimentally. Okay, possible answer. People weigh the costs and rewards, and helping can produce internal rewards. Okay, and Batson did conduct a study on this that we'll get to in the next slide, but it had a different prediction. Empathy can create genuinely altruistic motivation. So how could we possibly design an experiment that distinguishes those? Okay, we have to let somebody struggle, and then we need a situation where helping is going to be costly, and the person has another easy way to eliminate their own distress. If they still help, there's stronger evidence and there's evidence for concern that concern is for the other person, and that's exactly what Batson tried. So, designed an experiment to separate I want her suffering to stop from I want my discomfort to stop. So this is the empathy altruism um, hypothesis, and that when we experience empathetic concern for another person, we may become motivated by the ultimate goal of improving that person's welfare. Now, empathy, it doesn't mean merely feeling upset. It doesn't. It's trying to understand somebody's situation. Now, with personal distress, it's very self-focused. Okay, personal distress is like watching this suffering is making me feel uncomfortable. And so a motivation to help might be to reduce my own stress. And so I could help, or I could just get out of there and escape. I'm just getting out of here. Now, empathic concern is other focused. I feel compassion for her or whoever it is. And so my motivation is to improve their welfare. And this could produce altruistic helping because I'm interested in improving their welfare without any potential benefit. So this gives a couple of different predictions. If I'm helping mainly to reduce my own distress, okay, give me an easy escape, I could leave. If motivated by her welfare, give me an easy escape, I might still help. So that's how they tested it. Okay, and that's what this model shows here as well. Let's see here. So what happens when helping is costly, but simply walking away is easy? So here's the Elaine study. Okay, so let's see here. Elaine, again, she's actually a Confederate or actor, and she thinks she's receiving shocks. Okay? There's two dimensions here. The researchers manipulated empathy. So participants were either encouraged to focus on how Elaine felt or objective details of the situation. Okay, so those in the first, in regard to how Elaine felt, they were told to imagine how Elaine feels. That was going to enhance empathy. The objective details of the situation, that was going to lower empathy. Those are the two groups, the experimental groups. Okay, they also manipulated escape. The easy group can't leave. Or in the easy group, they can leave. They don't have to keep watching. Difficult group, they're expected to continue to be exposed to Elaine's suffering. They can't leave. So then they were given a choice. Would you take Elaine's place? Okay. In regard to an egoistic explanation, if helping mainly reduces my unpleasant feelings, if I am in the difficult escape group, I'm going to help because otherwise I have to watch her suffering and I can't handle that. If I'm in the easy escape group, I'm getting out because that's a cheaper way to reduce my distress. And in regard to the empathy altruism prediction, those with high empathy, even if I can leave, Elaine is still suffering. And if the ultimate goal is her welfare, escaping isn't going to solve the problem. So these people are still going to be more likely to help. Okay, so what actually happened here? So when empathy was low and escape was easy, there was less helping. Because participants, again, there wasn't a lot of empathy. They had to watch somebody suffering, and thus it was their discomfort they wanted to decrease, so they could just leave. That was the easiest thing. But when empathy was high, helping remained high, even when escape was easy. So even if they could get away from the suffering, it didn't matter. They were still of the opinion Elaine's welfare is what mattered, and so they didn't leave. They stayed and continued to they wanted to help Elaine. And you can see the statistics here. So again, low empathy, easy escape, only about 1 out of 5 people helped. High empathy, easy escape, 9 out of 10 people helped. These are insane numbers here. Okay, and still, even with this, so with the participants still helping, it's consistent with the goal of improving her welfare, and so it's a lot more compelling than asking like, are you an altruistic person? And this does support the empathy altruism hypothesis. And the results are difficult to explain just as an attempt to escape one's own distress. And so if empathy can motivate altruism, does that mean every time we feel empathy we should help or we help? And the answer is no, because there's going to be costs and consequences that our brain is going to weigh as well. But empathy can change whose welfare becomes the goal. It's not necessarily going to be ours in alleviating our distress. It's going to be based upon the person who is suffering, and we're going to want to reduce their distress. Okay, so yeah, does this mean helping is selfless? Not necessarily. Okay, because behavior does not equal motive. And sometimes humans are altruistic, but helping can have a lot of different motives. Like say a person volunteers every Saturday. Why? Again, maybe they care, maybe they like volunteering, friends do it, resume, religious, they could get recognition, or it could be all of them. Again, there could be a lot of different reasons why somebody might try to help, as we talked about. And the behavior might not reveal the motive in and of itself. That could because there can be a variety of motives. And if it is like feeling good afterward, does that invalidate the altruism? And it doesn't necessarily. So there's a difference between a goal and a consequence. If there's a goal in that I want somebody's suffering reduced, the feeling good afterward is a consequence, and that's different from I'm helping primarily so I can feel good. So that shifts it to altruism. And that's hard to distinguish outside of an actual experiment, but sets up a competing theory. And with Batson, empathy can generate altruistic motivation. Now, there's other approaches in that helping ultimately provides benefits to the helper. And one major version is the social exchange theory. So, what if helping operates more like a psychological cost benefit calculation here? And so we might help when the perceived rewards of helping outweigh the perceived costs of helping. And again, these we're not using a calculator to calculate these things. It's primarily semi or unconscious process that we calculate here to a certain degree in regard to benefits and consequences. And so, I mean, the rewards of helping, again, they could be external, praise, recognition, status, future help, material reward, or they could be internal. It might make me feel good. I'm going to avoid being guilty. I'm going to reduce stress. I'm going to have a positive self-image. I'm going to live to my values. And so that those could be potential rewards, but then there might be costs. Helping somebody might take time. It could be an inconvenience, going to cost money. Maybe it's dangerous. It's awkward. I'm going to miss other opportunities. And so as costs increase, according to this theory, helping behavior generally is less likely. So let's say somebody drops a bunch of papers. The cost, 10 seconds. You're gonna, stoop down and help your coworker pick up their papers. Come on now. Now somebody's car breaks down. That's 45 minutes. And you already got an appointment. Helping is going to become a lot costlier. The need is, I guess it's similar, maybe, but there's a different behavioral probability. If it's going to take more time, if you're going to be inconvenienced, you might be less likely to help. Might. But this doesn't mean that we're necessarily selfish. It proposes that this type of behavior can be understood partly through perceived costs and rewards. And we can go back to bystander research that we talked about, and that helping does become less likely under some situational conditions. And with these situations, can change the perceived cost of intervening. So again, we're looking at the situation changing the way in which we behave. So let's look at what this calculation might look like. Okay, so again, we talked about somebody's car broke down, possible rewards of helping them. Feel good about helping, avoiding guilt, receive gratitude, live to that values, cost, lose time, miss an appointment, get dirty, possible safety risk. I was going to say, with this example, if we're out in the middle of nowhere, don't stop. Don't stop. I'm just going to say that out here. Awkward interaction. Yeah, let's not stop. All right. Let's just not. I should have used a different example. Um, but okay, change the costs. Yeah, we put human trafficking on here and the costs become very high. So anyways, you change the costs or you change the rewards. That could change the outcome here. That's really what we're after here. And okay, can you think of helping someone where the costs seem enormous and the rewards almost non-existent? Now, even in regard to the helping somebody with their car thing, there would still be the reward if you were not human trafficked, of, feeling good that you helped them out. So there would still be a reward possibly, but maybe, is it rescuing a stranger, donating a kidney, especially if you have no idea of the follow-up, sacrificing during a disaster, being a whistleblower. So, okay, and some of these rewards might be good. You still might feel proud and things like that, but at some point, it might be difficult to falsify if every possible benefit counts as a reward. Anyways, okay. Theories of helping differ less in predicting that people help than explaining why they do it. So let's put these explanations side by side here. So if a student sees a classmate crying after they get bad news, they stay for an hour, listen, miss something they had planned. Okay. So, from the empathy altruism hypothesis, again, the goal is I want them to feel better. And you want to improve the other person's welfare. Great. According to the social exchange theory, again, this is going to be a different motive. Helping also reduces costs or provides rewards for me. So the possible goal is like, I'm not going to feel like I'm going to reduce my distress. I'm not going to feel guilty if I leave them here alone. And I'm going to feel good about myself as a human being. Now, the behavior is going to be the same. Sorry about that. But the explanation as to why we did it is going to be different. So, again, it is not black and white because when we help, it can involve all sorts of motives: altruistic, egoistic, social norms, evolutionary mechanisms, and different shades of each at the same time. So, when it comes to all of this, okay, we need to look at the evolutionary aspect of this because helping others can cost time, resources, safety. And so we need to look at an evolutionary perspective here. So when it comes to the evolutionary puzzle, natural selection does favor traits that increase the likelihood of survival and reproduction. Okay, now here's the thing, helping can be costly, and it is a behavior. And if a behavior costs resources, can put you at risk, benefits somebody else, the question is, why wouldn't natural selection eliminate it? Now, evolutionarily speaking, helping provides benefits at other levels, especially in regard to genetic relatives or people that might help in return. So we have kin selection and reciprocal altruism. And an evolutionary explanation has nothing to do with conscious motives. These have to do with unconscious psychological mechanisms that developed over millennia, just so we're clear here. So, behavioral tendencies, again, they can be selected without conscious understanding. It's all underlying psychological mechanisms. For example, hunger evolved because eating supports survival. Okay, we do not think about it, just happens. So, let's see here. Hmm. Are we equally likely to sacrifice for others or help others? Now, this gets into kin selection, and we might be especially likely to help genetic relatives because they share some of our genes. Excellent. And helping relatives survive and reproduce can contribute to inclusive fitness. And the traditionally, like this has to do with reproduction and effects on reproduction of genetic relatives. So, the degree of relatedness does vary. Um, but the evolutionary prediction here is that costly helping should be more likely toward closer genetic relatives, all else equal, um, to ensure that reproduction of, again, genetically related others actually continues, to continue our genetic line. Okay. Also, helping family can indirectly help share, yeah, helping family can indirectly share, help shared genes survive. Now, again, you have your parents sacrificing for kids, siblings helping each other, extended family networks. Okay, but here's the thing. People help family because they want their genes to survive. Not completely. Not completely, because we also have ultimate and proximate explanations. You are not going to get tested on this, but ultimate explanations are like why that tendency might have evolved. Why initially did we evolve that behavior? Whereas there's proximate explanations, what motivates humans now? Okay, so that might have evolved at that point to enhance inclusive fitness. Now, on the other hand, we might be motivated to help genetic relatives because of love, attachment, empathy, obligation. Okay, so there are a couple of different motivators as evolution has progressed. And again, kin selection does not mean we should ever help strangers. It just explains one pathway, not a complete theory of helping, but it does help to explain why people may be very driven toward helping biological relatives. Okay, so imagine two people need your help, but you can only help one of them. Situation A, your sibling. B, stranger. Or your sibling or stranger. My goodness. Okay, okay. In general, you're probably going to say your sibling. In general. Again, I have a feeling there's people that are out there like saying, no, absolutely not. I'm helping a stranger. Fine. But okay, now change the situation. Helping requires putting yourself in serious danger. Does your answer change as the cost increases? And if you want to add a wrinkle, what if the stranger is actually your best friend and you really don't even know your sibling? Okay. And again, this just throws a couple of questions out there to think about. But here's the thing. What about somebody who risks their life for a complete stranger? So kin selection and evolution alone don't explain this. We need other mechanisms. Um, and one evolutionary possibility is reciprocity. So Robert Trivers came up with this concept of reciprocal altruism in helping non-relatives because it is adaptive. Because especially when people interact repeatedly and help can be returned later. I'll help you now, you may help me later. I'll scratch your back, you scratch mine. And over repeated interactions, everybody benefits. Now, the conditions do matter because if you only see somebody once and you never see them again, that's not going to work. Cheaters are going to exploit endlessly, constantly. It's much more viable when there are stable social groups and tribes. There's repeated interactions, and it actually builds reputation as well. And cooperation is remembered. We are very sensitive to things like fairness, reciprocity, cheating, reputation as humans. And that is specifically because we are tribal beings. And in general, most social norms are of the line of thinking that they helped me, so I should help them. So, if somebody helps you repeatedly, you feel obligated to reciprocate. Okay, so, yep, what about the stranger you'll never see again? I have a feeling this person donated an organ to somebody and never saw them. All right, so again, sometimes people sometimes help when, again, you don't know them, there's no repayment, nobody else is ever going to know. You might not even know what happens, and helping is very costly. And they might risk their lives for complete strangers. Kin selection can't explain that. Reciprocity can't explain it at all. And there's no single theory that's going to explain every aspect of this. So, I mean, you might have like, again, anonymous donation, kidney donor, disaster rescue. There's no recognition or reward, no genetics. You're probably never going to see the person again. So, empathy, cultural norms, internal rewards, what are we talking about here? There's probably multiple levels in general. Cooperative tendencies, if we're talking about evolutionary, psychologically, empathy, guilt, social norms, expectations, culture, situationally, opportunity, risk, ability to help. So, say again, someone helps a stranger anonymously. According to Batson, perhaps there's an empathic concern that creates an other focused goal to help them specifically. Or perhaps there's internal rewards that'll reduce distress. Evolution, cooperative tendencies. So these can all kind of work together. Okay, so we've talked about all of this, but there's something else. Having a helpful personality or good intention doesn't guarantee that you'll actually help. Um, some sometimes something small in the situation changes everything. Like being a couple minutes late. So, who's going to be more likely to help? Okay, imagine three people encounter a stranger who appears to need help. Person A, highly religious and strongly values helping others. B, currently thinking about the importance of helping others. C, plenty of time, is not in a hurry. Who's going to help? Okay, let's talk about this. So, Darley and Batson in 1973 conducted what's called the Good Samaritan study. It was participants were seminary students. They were told to prepare a short talk. This was at the Princeton Theological Seminary. Okay. Before this task, they completed measures related to religiosity and motivation. Then they prepared their speech. Okay, some were prepared to talk about the Good Samaritan, the parable of the Good Samaritan, and others were prepared, with the Good Samaritan, they were going to talk about stopping to help someone in need. Okay. Others were just giving a seminary career topic. Helping, it was great manipulation because it was a helping concept that should be highly accessible in Good Samaritan condition. Then there was a time pressure. Okay. So the one of the groups, there wasn't any hurry. So basically, it'll be a few minutes before they're ready, but you can head over because they had to go to another building. There was a moderate group. Okay, they're ready for you. Go ahead and head over. Then there was a high hurry group. And these people were hit with, oh my God, you're late. They expected you already. You better hurry up. All right. So, on the way over to the building to give their speech, they encountered a Confederate or an actor who appeared to need help. They were slumped, coughing, groaning, needed assistance. And so they kind of had to keep going if they were going to get to their speech. Now, what variables could predict helping here? Maybe religiosity, the topic at hand, time pressure. There's a lot of, I would say there's a variety of variables. Again, what about religiosity? Could predict that stronger religious helping values really result in more helping. About what about being, let's see here. The Good Samaritan. Thinking about helping makes helping more likely if I was giving a speech on it. Or the time pressure. Maybe people with more time might help. So it was time. Strongest factor was time. Oh, that got cut off there. That's not great. Okay. Amongst the approximate percentage who stopped, those who were not in really a hurry, the low on the very right side that got cut off, 2 out of 3 stopped. Okay. Moderate hurry, 45% stopped, about 1 out of 2. People who were in, oh wait, sorry, 63%, I went backwards, 63%, 45%, 10%. Only 10% of people who had to hurry because they were late for the speech helped. That is a vast difference between low hurry and high hurry. That is 53% difference. It's again the situation here. It's not about individual characteristics. The situational demands interfered with behavior even when values supported helping. Thinking about helping wasn't enough to overcome the time pressure. None of it was enough to overcome the time pressure here. Hurry was incredibly powerful. So why would being late reduce helping this dramatically? Maybe the participant didn't notice. They were focused on getting over to the other building. The helping costs time. Somebody else will help. I have a priority here. I'm stressed. So the difference between the helper and the non-helper, it's probably may sometimes be less about character than about what the situation allows the person to notice and to prioritize. So it's not about the person. So why does hurry reduce helping? Yes, it narrows attention. When we're hurried, where we're going to go is what is important. We're focused on a task. Anything around us doesn't matter as much. We could notice the person, but we don't really notice the situation necessarily. The cost changes. It's the same act. And when we're not hurried, stopping costs 5 minutes. But if we're already late, stopping costs being late, plus the consequences of that. Then maybe we have competing goals. Again, goal 1, be responsible, help somebody. Goal 2, be responsible, arrive when expected. And both can reflect positive values. It's not good versus evil, it's competing obligations. And then reduce deliberation. We don't, if you are in a hurry, you don't have as much time to interpret and respond to the situation as is necessary. We have to rely on automaticity or that system one thinking. Like, have you ever walked past somebody while you were hurried and trying to get somewhere and then realized later what you actually saw? So literally small situational pressures can really compete with values that we hold. And again, this isn't the only situational factor that changes whether we help. Even very ordinary things like how we feel, who needs help, and what we think people should do shift our pro-social behavior as well. So, does feeling good make us more helpful? Often we think, yep, feel good, do good. Positive moods increase helping and motivation in general. Yeah, possibly, but it's really not that simple. Um, necessarily. So, yeah, receive good news, unexpectedly find money, successful day, and maybe you'll be willing to help sometimes. But a negative mood, yeah, more complicated. Okay, sometimes sadness or guilt might increase helping because we could reduce the guilt, improve mood, restore our self-image. If we hurt somebody's feelings later, maybe we have an opportunity to help, and so we take it. So, helping can actually function as a method of repair and mood regulation. But yeah, negative moods can also reduce helping if we're very distressed, focused, inwardly overwhelmed. And so helping might seem impossible as well. But mood change is the probability of helping, not according to one universal rule. Now, in regard to helping those like us, similarity and helping. Now, when we talk about similarity, we're talking about those who think like us, have similar interests, believe the same things, have the same background, look like us, are connected to us. We are more likely to help people like us. Now, part of this is because I can imagine being in their position. If they look like us, sometimes we have an easier time thinking, hey, that person, that could be me. That could be my sister. That could be my daughter. That could be my parent. When they don't look like us or sound like us or speak like us or speak the same language as us or are from the same place as us, we don't necessarily feel similarly because we cannot see ourselves in that position. When we can see ourselves in that position, we have higher levels of empathy. It's easier to take their perspective and connect to them emotionally, which enhances the chances that we do help. So there's a perceived connection. We feel psychologically closer. Now, it doesn't mean we only help people who are similar to us. Perceived similarity, it can be one factor that increases helping. Now, this is interesting. Why might hearing someone's name and story might make you more willing to help than hearing that 10,000 anonymous people need help? That individual, probably on GoFundMe, and then you read the story on Facebook, they become concrete. You read their story and they become psychologically close. They are a human. You can see them. You know what they look like. You develop a connection to them, and thus that enhances empathy and helping behavior. Our social world also gives us rules about whether helping is expected. And I'll let you guys go ahead and play these videos because I know I've been going a long time here. Um, but I am going to finish this up here, but I will let you watch the video on your own of Sheldon because we've gone a long time, but this encompasses the entire helping part of this lecture. So, the rules that tell us to help with social norms and helping. Okay. We have the reciprocity norm. And so this is a culturally based norm in that we help those who have helped us. So somebody does a favor for us, we help them. Somebody helps you move your refrigerator, you help them move something as well. You cover or a coworker covers your shift, you cover theirs later. Now, that is similar to reciprocal altruism, but it's a different explanatory level. Um, but it might be why reciprocal cooperation could have developed. Now, when it comes to, again, a social norm, just so we're clear here, it's a learned expectation based upon your specific culture. You should do something. And the social responsibility norm, on the other hand, okay, you help people who need assistance even if they can't repay you. Somebody's vulnerable, injured, elderly, a kid, anybody. This moves a lot closer to responsibility and moral obligation. And the thing is the norm strength is going to vary based upon your culture, subculture, the group, the situation. The norms can facilitate helping, but they can also kind of prevent behavior too. And so this goes back to conformity and group standards. So if the group norm is we help, that makes helping easier. But if the group norm is not our problem, helping is become going to become less likely. If you are a very individualistic part of an individualistic group or culture, not my problem. I take care of me. Going to decrease helping behavior. Groups, so because groups can establish norms about, again, who deserves concern, whose suffering matters, what treatment is accessible. So after all of this, we can answer the question we kind of started with in that what creates a helper, or it gives us a better idea. There's no single answer as to why we help. Could be empathy. We care about other people's welfare, maybe rewards and costs, and that, I mean, helping can benefit us and then cost us, and we have to weigh those two things. Evolution, inclusive fitness might have driven us to help, again, close genetic relatives. Connection. Do people look like us? Do they sound like us? That's going to enhance helping behavior. And again, what do social norms tell us we should do? And what is the specific situation in which we could help? What kind of time do we have? Can we attend to the situation? Is there an opportunity? And are there other things that need to be done? And so helping does not just emerge from who the person is and them in and of themselves. It emerges specifically from the person as well as the situation. So today we talked about why we help other people and that empathy can make another person's suffering matter to us. Connection can make us feel closer. Social norms can tell us we should help. But what happens when we reverse all of this? We're going to go the opposite way. When another person becomes distant or they're not like us or they do not deserve our concern. When do they become easier to harm? And that's where we're going to analyze in the next part of this lecture. So thanks for hanging in there with me, and I will see you soon.